watching Connect the World. I'm Becky Anderson. We are out of London today, normally out of our Middle Eastern base, of course, in Abu Dhabi. And I want to get you back to one of our top stories today. 2 emergency summits being held in Saudi Arabia amid heightened tensions across the region with Iran. Saudi king called on Arab leaders to attend the high-level meetings to address recent attacks on oil production and shipping in the Gulf area. US National Security Advisor John Bolton is pointing the finger directly at Iran, though Tehran denies any involvement, calling the claim ridiculous. Saudi Arabia has also accused Iran of ordering those drone strikes and says Arab leaders must address the attacks with strength and firmness. Well, meanwhile, our next 2 guests firmly believe that Iran and Saudi Arabia have significant differences, but they share common interests in many critical issues. Joining us now, Dr. Abdulaziz Sager is the chairman and founder of the Gulf Research Center in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. And Hussein Mousavian is Middle East security and nuclear policy specialist at Princeton University and the former spokesman for Iran's nuclear negotiating team. To both of you, thank you. You penned, Hussein, this op-ed together, in which you say neither of you are starry-eyed idealists. Like your governments, you say you have a deep mistrust for each other, and yet you say the time for dialogue is now. Given the current climate, what we are seeing in Jeddah at present, many of our viewers will think you are, well, mad. Do you really think this is the time for dialogue at this point? That's realistic.
Actually, we believe that the region is engulfed with multiple crises: terrorism, civil war, sectarian war, instability, humanitarian disasters. And then I think Abdulaziz and I, we both believe Iran and Saudi Arabia are 2 regional powerhouses, along with other key countries like Turkey and Egypt. And as long as there is no peace and cooperation between the regional powerhouses, specifically Iran and Saudi Arabia, we are not going to have peace, security, stability in the region. This is the reality.
Dr. Abdulaziz, let me stop you for a moment, Hussein. Dr. Abdulaziz, I understand the conceit of your argument with Hussein. It makes sense. But you, as you've described yourselves, are hardened realists. Realistically, then, Dr. Abdulaziz, do you believe that dialogue is possible at this point between Riyadh and Tehran?
First, good day to you and to Hussein and to all CNN viewers. I think it's a great opportunity always to have a dialogue, because Saudi Arabia have always encouraged dialogue with Iran, and we have never stopped that one. It's unfortunate the slowdown in the relation have happened once the Saudi embassy in Tehran was burned, and also the Saudi consulate in Mashhad. This is when the relation was cut from the Saudi side, and there was no further dialogue and meeting with Iran. I think the Saudi, precisely saying if Iran changed its attitude toward the region in terms of the interventionist policy and using the sectarianism as a dimension for the expansionist policy, we will be more than happy to talk. We have also, Saudi Arabia endorsed the, at the time of President Obama, the B5+1 deal, but at the same time, when President Trump emphasized on the issue of the nuclear deal and the missiles, I think Saudi Arabia also see that, continuing the same agreement does not make it, a safe region. This is why they are endorsing the initiative from the U.S. government in terms of, dealing with the nuclear program and the missiles program.
OK, all right. You are in Jeddah, sir, at present. Hussein, as some Arab leaders arrived for the summit there, they visited or were led through an exhibition conveniently put on at Jeddah airport, showcasing the evidence of Iranian weapons used in Yemen and on Saudi. Riyadh contends, Hussein, that what we are looking at here, these images, are evidence of what they see as Iran's malign behaviour and influence in the region, and it is that behaviour that the Saudis, the UAE, other Arab states, in conjunction with the US, say is such an issue. And it's hard to argue that they don't have a point, correct?
No, I don't believe this is the case, because we have had such a summits for 40 years. We have had hundreds of statements from such a summits, but there has been no progress, no solution, no peace, and we are getting each day a more deteriorated region. That's why I believe Iran and Saudi, they have mutual accusations on sectarianism, terrorism, interferences. I can give you a long list of accusations. But what is the bottom line? What is the end state? Are Iran and Saudi Arabia going to continue confrontation? We have experienced for decades, and we are faced with a failed region, or we are going to have a breakthrough. I believe Iran and Saudi, they should talk to each other rather than talking at each other.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I'm just asking whether you think that that is really realistic at this point. Dr. Abdulaziz, we are hearing all the right noises. We don't want war, is what we are hearing from both Saudi and Iran. We're also hearing that from the US. But there's always a but, isn't it? We don't want war, but if you wind us up or you provoke us, you know, we are headed for conflict. You penned this op-ed a couple of weeks ago. Are we closer to war, Dr. Abdulaziz, at present, a conflict with Iran? Do you think than ever?
I hope not, because I hope not. No, I hope not, because neither party is interested in having additional conflict in the region. We've had 3 wars before, and there is no intention or interest from any party to have an additional war. You know, there is a 2 different issues here. I mean, the level of demand is different than the level of negotiation. The US have put a very high demand, the 12 point, which was stated by Secretary Pompeo. But I think when you come to negotiating, there are key issues that are non-negotiable. And I think what Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Gulf country would like to see, a friendly Iran sharing the security and the safety of the region, living in peace and focusing more in the prosperity and the economic development inside Iran rather than increasing the conflict. Because the region is sick and tired of additional conflict. We do not wish to see that one. But at the same time, we understand that it is essential and it's important to have enough deterrent capability in case if there is any mistake or any act happening and taking place from Iran that requires some response. At the same time, still my personal wish to see a much more wiser step taken from Iran to de-escalate and at the same time come into much more sensible discussion, argument, to live in the region in peace, and then to change a lot of their policies that was adopted since 40 years. Unfortunately, Iran did a lot of the wrong thing in the region in terms of supporting militia groups, supporting violent non-state actors. They don't deal with the region as a state to state. Most of their act here, unfortunately, focuses on the violent non-state actors and the way how they deal with them and supporting them. Hezbollah in Lebanon, the additional groups in Syria, the 42, Hashd al-Sha'b in Iraq, and Houthi in Yemen, and so.
Dr. Abdulaziz, thank you, and I think your point very well made. Hussein, thank you as well. We've been discussing the prospect or the potential for dialogue in what is a very difficult atmosphere in the region at present. Who knows? I mean, the US have said, or at least the US president has said, pick up the phone, I'm ready to talk to Tehran. Who knows? Can Oman broker something? Can the Japanese broker something? We will watch this space in the next weeks and months to come. Thank you, gentlemen.